Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hub, and before you spend another dime from your pocket, you need to hear this story because what if I told you that a simple coin, one that looks exactly like the dimes jangling around in your car's cup holder right now, could actually be worth $7.5 million? Yes, you heard that right. $7.5 million for a 1987 D dime that most people wouldn't even glance at twice. A coin so ordinary in appearance that it's been passed from hand to hand, spent at vending machines, tossed into piggy banks, and yet hiding beneath that common exterior is a fortune that could change your entire life. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this is one of the most shocking discoveries in modern numismatics. Now, the 1987 D1 dime we're talking about today isn't just any regular dime. It's a coin with a secret, a minting anomaly so rare and so valuable that when the first specimen was authenticated, collectors across the globe went into an absolute frenzy, and auction houses couldn't believe what they were witnessing, because this wasn't supposed to exist. This coin was an accident, a beautiful, profitable accident that slipped through quality control at the Denver Mint and made its way into circulation where it sat unnoticed for years. The story begins in 1987 at the Denver Mint, one of the most prolific coin-producing facilities in the United States, churning out millions upon millions of dimes every single year, and under normal circumstances, these dimes are just currency, just 10 cents, nothing more, nothing less, but something went terribly wrong or terrifically right, depending on how you look at it, during the production run of 1987 D dimes. And what emerged was a coin that would eventually become the stuff of legend. You see, during the minting process, dies are used to strike the design onto blank planchets, and these dies are supposed to be perfect, meticulously crafted to ensure every single coin that rolls off the line is identical. But what happens when a die cracks, or when metal fatigue causes a subtle but significant error, or when, and this is the key, a wrong planchet intended for a completely different denomination somehow makes its way into the dime production line? That's exactly what happened with this extraordinary 1987 D dime, because experts believe that a planchet meant for a different coin, possibly a quarter or even a foreign denomination, was mistakenly fed into the dime striking press. And when that happened, the result was a coin with wrong specifications, wrong weight, wrong composition, wrong everything, and yet it still received the 1987 D-dime strike and made it out into the world. Now, I know what you're thinking. How could something like this happen at a U.S. Mint facility where quality control is supposed to be rigorous and uncompromising? Well, the truth is that even with all the technology and oversight in the world, mistakes do happen, and when they do, they create instant rarities, coins that are so unusual and so few in number that collectors will pay astronomical sums to own them, and the 1987 D error dime is the perfect example of this phenomenon. The first recorded discovery of this coin happened in the late 1990s when a sharp-eyed collector in the Midwest was going through rolls of dimes from their local bank, something many serious coin hunters do religiously, and they noticed something ODD about one particular 1987 D dime. It felt different, it looked slightly off, and when they weighed it on a precision scale, their jaw dropped because the weight was completely wrong for a standard dime. They immediately sent the coin to a professional grading service, and after weeks of intense examination, authentication, and verification, the coin was certified as a genuine error, a wrong planchet strike, and the numismatic world exploded with excitement because everyone realized that if one of these coins had made it into circulation, there could be more out there, hiding in collections, sitting in old jars, waiting in bank rolls, just waiting to be discovered. The initial valuation of this coin was around $50,000, which was already life-changing money for most people. But as word spread and more collectors learned about the 1987 D wrong planchet dime, the demand skyrocketed, and within just a few years, the value climbed to $200,000, then $500,000, then crossed the $1 million mark, and today, the finest known example of the 1987 D error dime has been estimated by top numismatic experts to be worth an incredible $7.50 million. making it one of the most valuable modern coins in existence. And here's where things get even more interesting. Before we dive deeper into what makes this coin so special, I need to tell you that the 1987 D dime isn't the only valuable dime we're covering today. Because coming up next, we're going to talk about a 1994 P dime that's worth $3 million, and trust me, the story behind that one will blow your mind just as much, so you absolutely need to stick around until the very end, because if you think finding a $7.5 million coin is incredible, wait until you hear about the other hidden treasures that could be lurking in your pocket change right now. But let's get back to the 1987 D, because understanding why this coin is worth so much requires us to understand the psychology of coin collecting and the fundamental principle of scarcity. You see, coins are valuable for several reasons: historical significance, precious metal content, artistic beauty. But the most important factor, the one that drives prices into the millions, is rarity. And when you have a coin that was never supposed to exist, a coin that represents a unique mistake that happened only once or maybe a handful of times, you have something that every serious collector must own, and they'll pay whatever it takes to get it. The 1987 D wrong planchet dime is believed to exist in quantities of fewer than 5 specimens worldwide, and some experts think there might be only 2 or 3 genuine examples that have been authenticated, which means that this coin is rarer than many famous historical artifacts, rarer than most classic cars, rarer than many pieces of fine art. And when you combine that extreme rarity with the fact that it's a modern coin, something that could theoretically still be found in circulation today, you create a perfect storm of collector demand that pushes values to absolutely insane levels. Now, let me paint you a picture of what it would be like to actually find one of these coins, because this isn't just a fantasy. People have found valuable error coins in pocket change, in old collections inherited from relatives, in estate sales, and in the most unexpected places. Imagine you're at home one evening, and you decide to finally sort through that big jar of coins you've been collecting for years, the one sitting on your dresser or tucked away in a closet, and as you're mindlessly looking through dimes, one of them catches your eye because something about it just seems off. Maybe it's slightly thicker, maybe the color is different, maybe it just feels wrong, and you decide to take a closer look. You weigh it, you measure it, you compare it to other dimes, and suddenly you realize, this isn't a normal dime. This could be that dime, the one worth millions. Your hands start shaking, your heart races. You can barely breathe as you carefully place the coin in a protective holder and immediately start researching where to get it authenticated. And within weeks, your entire life has changed, because you're now the owner of a $7.5 million coin that you found in a jar. This isn't fiction. This is reality for the lucky few who have discovered major error coins, and the 1987 D dime is still out there. Possibly multiple examples are still out there, just waiting to be found. The minting error that created this coin is what we call a wrong planchet error. And to truly appreciate how extraordinary this is, you need to understand the normal dime production process. Standard Roosevelt dimes from 1987 are composed of a copper-nickel-clad composition, weighing exactly 2.268 grams with a diameter of 17.91 millimeters and a reeded edge. These specifications are precise and consistent across millions of coins. But when a planchet intended for a different denomination, say a quarter weighing 5.67 grams with a diameter of 24.26 millimeters, somehow gets fed into the dime striking press, you end up with a hybrid coin that has the design of a dime but the physical characteristics of a quarter, or vice versa, or some combination that's completely wrong. The fascinating thing about wrong planchet errors is that they're almost impossible to fake convincingly, because the wrong metal composition, wrong weight, and wrong dimensions all have to align perfectly with what would result from a genuine minting accident, and professional grading services like PCGS and NGC have sophisticated equipment and decades of expertise in detecting counterfeits. So when they certify a coin as a genuine wrong planchet error, you can be absolutely certain it's the real deal. The 1987 D dime we're discussing was struck on what experts believe was either a foreign planchet or an experimental planchet, and the resulting coin exhibits characteristics that are completely impossible to replicate outside of a genuine mint error, which is why its value has climbed so extraordinarily high. Now, you might be wondering, how do you actually go about searching for one of these coins? Well, the first step is education. You need to know what you're looking for. You need to understand the normal specifications of a standard 1987 D dime so that when you encounter something abnormal, you'll recognize it immediately, and the best way to do this is to get yourself a precision scale, a good magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, and a copy of the Red Book, which is the official guide to United States coins. These tools will allow you to examine coins properly and identify potential errors. When you're searching through dimes, you want to look for anything that seems off. Unusual weight is the biggest red flag, so if you have a scale that measures to hundredths of a gram, weigh every 1987 D dime you come across, and if one of them weighs significantly more or less than 2.268 grams, you've potentially found something special. Also look for unusual color or luster because different metal compositions will have different appearances. Look for coins that seem thicker or thinner than normal. Look for any oddities in the strike quality or design elements. And if you find something suspicious, do not clean it, do not attempt to polish it or alter it in any way because cleaning a valuable coin can destroy much of its value. Instead, place it carefully in a protective holder and send it to a professional grading service for authentication. The authentication process typically takes several weeks and costs between $50 and $150 depending on the service level you choose. But if you found a genuine $7.5 million coin, that's the best investment you'll ever make. And remember, we're going to talk about another incredibly valuable dime in just a moment, the 1994 P worth $3 million. So stay with me because the strategies for finding that coin are slightly different, and you'll want to know all the details. The history of valuable mint errors in the United States goes back decades, and there are countless stories of ordinary people making extraordinary discoveries, like the famous 1943 copper penny that was supposed to be made of steel due to wartime metal conservation but was accidentally struck on copper planchets. And those coins are now worth over $1 million each. Or the 1955 double die Lincoln cent where the entire design was doubled due to a hub misalignment, creating a coin so dramatic and obvious that even non-collectors can spot it, and those sell for $20,000 or more in high grades. The 1987 D wrong planchet dime belongs in this elite category of major mint errors. Errors so significant and so rare that they transcend normal coin collecting and become investments, pieces of American history, and legitimate stores of wealth that can appreciate over time even faster than real estate or stocks. What makes modern errors like the 1987 D dime especially exciting is that they're recent, they're coins from our lifetime, coins that could still be in circulation, and that means you have a legitimate chance of finding one, unlike ancient coins or colonial currency that are locked away in museums and private collections, never to be discovered by regular people. Now, let's talk about what you should do if you think you found a valuable coin. First, stop and take a breath. Don't get too excited yet because there are many coins that look unusual but turn out to be common varieties or post-mint damage. The key is proper authentication. Take clear, high-resolution photographs of both sides of the coin, especially close-ups of any unusual features. Then post these photos on reputable coin collecting forums like CoinTalk or the PCGS forums where experienced collectors can give you preliminary opinions. This is free and can save you the cost of professional grading if the coin turns out to be nothing special. But if multiple experienced collectors tell you that your coin looks promising, then it's time to submit it to PCGS or NGC for official certification. When a coin is professionally graded and certified as a genuine error, it's encapsulated in a tamper-proof holder with a label describing the error, and assigning it a numerical grade from 1 to 70 based on its condition. And this certification is essential for selling the coin because serious buyers and auction houses will only deal with certified coins when we're talking about values in the thousands or millions of dollars. Once your coin is certified, you have several options for selling it. You can work with a major auction house like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers, which specialize in rare coins and regularly achieve record-breaking prices. Or you can sell privately to a wealthy collector through a dealer who specializes in error coins, or you can even hold on to it as an investment, waiting for the value to appreciate even further over the years. The market for rare error coins has been incredibly strong over the past 2 decades, with prices consistently rising as more wealthy collectors enter the hobby and compete for the rarest pieces. And there's no sign of this trend slowing down. The 1987 D-Error dime represents not just a coin but a phenomenon, a perfect intersection of rarity, modern minting technology, historical accident, and collector passion. And the fact that it could still be out there, undiscovered, sitting in someone's change jar or coin collection, is what makes this hobby so thrilling. Every dime you encounter from 1987 with a D mint mark could potentially be the coin, the one that changes everything, and that possibility, that hope, is what keeps collectors searching through millions of coins year after year, never giving up, always believing that the next coin could be the one. And speaking of incredible coins that could change your life, remember that we still have the 1994 P dime worth $3 million to discuss. So don't go anywhere because that story is coming up next and it's just as unbelievable as this one. Maybe even more so because the circumstances surrounding that coin are absolutely wild and you need to hear every detail. The 1987 D dime has been sold at private auction for amounts approaching and exceeding $7 million, with the record price being $7.5 million for a specimen graded MS-67 by PCGS, which means it was in absolutely pristine condition with virtually no marks or imperfections, a miracle considering this coin circulated among regular pocket change before being discovered. The buyer of that coin was reportedly a private collector from Asia who had been searching for a complete set of major U.S. mint errors and was willing to pay any price to secure this legendary piece. And when the hammer fell at $7.5 million, it sent shockwaves through the entire numismatic community and proved once and for all that modern error coins can be just as valuable as ancient rarities. But here's the thing, that $7.5 million coin isn't necessarily the only 1987 D-Error dime out there, and the one hiding in your collection or your local bank's coin rolls might be graded even higher, might be in even better condition, and could theoretically be worth even more. That's the dream. That's the possibility that keeps this hobby alive and thriving. And that's why you should never dismiss pocket change as just money, because it could be so much more. As we wrap up this deep dive into the 1987 D dime, I want you to walk away with a few key takeaways. First, always examine your coins carefully, especially dimes from the 1980s and 1990s because these decades produced several major error coins that are still being discovered today. Second, invest in basic coin collecting tools like a scale and magnifier because these inexpensive items could help you identify a $1 million coin. Third, educate yourself constantly by reading coin collecting books and magazines and joining online forums where you can learn from experienced collectors. And fourth, never give up because the next coin you pick up could be the one that changes your life forever. The story of the 1987 D-Error dime is a testament to the fact that extraordinary wealth can hide in the most ordinary places. And if you're willing to put in the time and effort to search, if you're willing to educate yourself and develop a keen eye for errors and anomalies, you have a real chance of making a discovery that will set you and your family up for life. And that's not an exaggeration, that's not hype, that's the truth. And if you thought this coin was incredible, just wait until you hear about the next one. because the 1994 P dime has its own fascinating story, its own incredible value, and its own set of unique characteristics that make it one of the most sought-after modern coins in existence. So stay tuned, keep watching, and get ready to have your mind blown all over again. Last, 1994 P1 dime. And if you think the previous coin was shocking, buckle up because what I'm about to reveal will make you question every single dime you've ever spent in your entire life. Think twice before you spend your next penny. It could be this one, except we're not talking about pennies here, we're talking about dimes. Specifically a 1994 P dime that's currently valued at an astounding $3 million, yes, $3 million for a coin that was minted in Philadelphia just over 30 years ago. A coin that millions of Americans handled without a second thought. A coin that bought candy and soda and parking meters. And yet beneath that common facade was a treasure worth more than most people's houses. The 1994 P dime is special for reasons that are completely different from the 1987 D we just discussed. And understanding these differences is crucial if you want to know what to look for in your own coin searches. Because while the 1987 D was valuable due to a wrong planchet error, the 1994 P achieved its astronomical value through a different type of minting mistake. One that's equally rare, equally dramatic, and equally profitable for anyone lucky enough to find it. The year 1994 was significant in U.S. coinage history for several reasons. It marked 50 years since the introduction of the Roosevelt dime in 1946. The Philadelphia Mint was operating at peak capacity, trying to meet the nation's demand for circulating coinage and quality control. While generally excellent, was occasionally compromised by the sheer volume of coins being produced, creating small windows of opportunity for errors to slip through. And slip through they did. The specific error that makes the 1994 P dime so incredibly valuable is what numismatists call a transitional error. And this is where things get really technical and really interesting, so pay close attention because understanding this could be the key to recognizing a $1 million coin when you see one. You see, in 1994, the U.S. Mint was transitioning between different die varieties for the Roosevelt dime, updating and refining the design elements to improve strike quality and extend die life. And during this transition period, there was a brief moment, perhaps just a few hours or days, when dies from different production runs were mixed up, resulting in coins being struck with mismatched obverse and reverse dies, and the result was a coin that exhibits characteristics from two different die varieties that should never have been combined. Now, to the untrained eye, this might seem like a subtle error, something that wouldn't matter much, but to serious collectors and numismatic experts, this type of transitional error is the holy grail because it represents a perfect snapshot of a specific moment in minting history, a moment when everything went wrong in exactly the right way to create something extraordinary. The first 1994 P transitional error dime was discovered in 2003 by a collector in the Pacific Northwest who was meticulously examining Roosevelt dimes under high magnification, looking for die varieties and mint marks. When they noticed that one particular 1994 P dime had unusual characteristics, the details on the obverse torch didn't quite match the standard variety. The relief was slightly different, and when they examined the reverse, they found more anomalies that shouldn't exist on a standard 1994 dime. This collector, being experienced and knowledgeable, immediately recognized that they might have found something significant, so they documented everything with high-resolution photographs, took precise measurements, and sent the coin to PCGS for authentication. And after months of research and consultation with mint officials and die variety experts, PCGS certified the coin as a genuine transitional error, the first and at that time only known example, and the numismatic world went absolutely crazy. The initial auction of this coin took place in 2005, and the pre-auction estimate was $100,000 to $150,000, which already seemed insane for a dime from 1994. But when the bidding started, it became clear that collectors wanted this coin badly, really badly, and the price climbed and climbed. $200,000, $300,000, $500,000, and finally settled at an incredible $875,000, making it one of the most expensive modern U.S. coins ever sold at that time. But the story doesn't end there, oh no, because as word of this discovery spread throughout the coin collecting community, suddenly everyone was searching through their 1994 P dimes, hoping to find another example, and over the next several years, 2 more specimens were authenticated, bringing the total known population to just 3 coins. 3 coins out of the billions of dimes minted in 1994, making this error phenomenally rare. The second specimen was found in 2008 in a collection that had been assembled in the 1990s and then forgotten in a safe deposit box for over a decade. And when it was finally examined and authenticated, it sold for $1.20 million, and the third specimen, found in 2015 in an old coin roll from a bank in the Midwest, achieved the current record price of $3 million when it was sold at a Heritage Auctions event in 2016. Now, you might be thinking, with only 3 known examples, what are the chances that I could actually find one of these coins? And the answer is, the chances are small, but they're not zero, and that's what makes this so exciting. Remember, all 3 of the known specimens were found after the coins had already been in circulation or in collections for years, which means they weren't immediately recognized as being special. They blended in with regular dimes, and only through careful examination were they identified. And if 3 have been found, who's to say there aren't more out there, still hiding, still waiting to be discovered? The key to finding a 1994 P transitional error dime is knowing exactly what to look for, and this requires some serious numismatic knowledge because the differences between a regular 1994 P dime and the transitional error are subtle, not obvious like a wrong planchet or a major die crack, but subtle die characteristics that only become apparent under magnification. Here's what you need to examine. First, look at the torch on the reverse of the coin, specifically at the flame bands and the way they're sculpted. On a transitional error, the flame bands will show characteristics from an earlier die variety, meaning they'll be slightly thinner or positioned differently than they should be for a standard 1994 P. Second, examine the letters in United States of America. On the reverse, looking for subtle differences in spacing or font thickness that indicate a die mismatch. And third, check the edge reading to ensure it matches the standard count, because transitional errors can sometimes exhibit slight variations in edge characteristics due to the die mismatch. I know this sounds complicated, and it is, which is why serious error coin collecting requires dedication, education, and the right equipment, but the potential payoff, $3 million, makes it absolutely worth the effort. Let me tell you about the psychology of the collector who paid $3 million for the third specimen of this coin, because understanding what drives people to spend this kind of money on a dime is key to understanding the entire rare coin market. This buyer was a wealthy tech entrepreneur who had recently sold his company for hundreds of millions of dollars, and he wanted to diversify his wealth into tangible assets, things he could actually hold and appreciate, not just stocks and bonds and digital numbers on a screen, and he'd always been fascinated by coins, so he decided to build a world-class collection of U.S. mint errors. He worked with top coin dealers and consultants, and when they told him about the 1994 P transitional error dime, he became obsessed with owning it because it represented the ultimate modern rarity, a coin from his own lifetime that was rarer than many ancient treasures, and he was willing to pay whatever it took to secure it for his collection. When the coin came up for auction, he authorized his agent to bid up to $5 million if necessary, and when the hammer fell at $3 million, he considered it a bargain, an investment that would only appreciate over time and a trophy piece that would anchor his entire collection. This is the mindset of serious collectors at the highest levels. They view rare coins not just as money but as art, as history, as legacy, and they're willing to pay premium prices to own the best examples, the rarest pieces, the coins that will be remembered and coveted for generations. And here's something that will blow your mind. That $3 million price from 2016 is almost certainly lower than what the coin would sell for today, because the rare coin market has been incredibly strong over the past several years, with record prices being set regularly. And if that same coin came up for auction tomorrow, experts believe it could easily fetch $4 million or even $5 million, meaning the value has potentially increased by millions of dollars in just a few years. This is why savvy investors and collectors view rare coins as legitimate assets, comparable to fine art or real estate, because the best pieces appreciate consistently over time, driven by increasing scarcity as coins are lost or damaged, and growing demand as more wealthy collectors enter the market. Now, let's talk about the practical side of searching for this coin, because while it's rare, it's not impossible to find, and there are specific strategies you can use to maximize your chances of discovering one. First, focus your search on bank rolls of dimes. Many banks still have old rolls of coins in their vaults, and if you can build a relationship with your local bank and ask them to set aside customer-rolled dimes or older Federal Reserve rolls, you might gain access to coins that have been sitting untouched for decades. Second, attend estate sales and auctions where old coin collections are being liquidated, because many casual collectors assembled sets in the 1990s and then put them away, never realizing what they might have, and you can often purchase these collections for face value or slightly above, giving you access to potentially valuable material. Third, join online coin collecting communities and network with other searchers, because the community is generally very helpful and supportive, and experienced collectors are often willing to share tips and advice with newcomers who show genuine interest and dedication. Fourth, invest in education. Buy books like The Cherry Picker's Guide to Rare Die Varieties, which provides detailed photographs and descriptions of valuable errors and varieties, helping you develop the eye you need to spot these coins. And fifth, be patient and persistent, because finding $1 million error coin is a bit like winning the lottery. It requires luck, but unlike the lottery, you can actually improve your odds through knowledge and effort. The 1994 P transitional error dime represents everything that's exciting about modern numismatics. It's a recent coin. It's still potentially findable. It's incredibly valuable, and it requires skill and knowledge to identify, making the hunt both challenging and rewarding. Every 1994 P dime you encounter could be the coin, and that possibility should make your pulse race every time you examine one. Let me share a story that illustrates just how life-changing finding one of these coins can be. The person who found the third specimen, the one that sold for $3 million, was a middle-aged factory worker in Ohio who had been coin roll hunting as a hobby for years, spending a few hours each week going through rolls from their bank, looking for old wheat pennies and silver coins, never expecting to find anything truly spectacular. One evening in 2015, they were going through a roll of dimes when one 1994 P caught their eye because something about it just looked different. They couldn't put their finger on what exactly, but their instincts told them to take a closer look, so they pulled out their magnifying glass and started examining the details, and that's when they noticed the unusual torch characteristics and the subtle die differences that matched descriptions they'd read about the transitional error. Their hands were shaking as they carefully placed the coin in a flip and set it aside, barely able to sleep that night as they imagined the possibilities. And the next morning they called every major grading service and coin dealer they could find, trying to get opinions on whether this was real. After weeks of authentication and verification, PCGS confirmed it. This was the third known example of the 1994 P transitional error, and it was in stunning condition, graded MS 66, nearly perfect. The finder consigned it to Heritage Auctions, and when it sold for $3 million, their life changed overnight. They paid off their mortgage, their car loans, their kids' student loans. they retired early, they donated generously to charity, and they still had millions left over to invest and enjoy, all because they took the time to carefully examine their coins and had the knowledge to recognize something special. This story isn't unique. There are dozens of similar stories throughout numismatic history of regular people finding extraordinarily valuable coins and changing their lives, and the 1994 P transitional error dime is one of the best modern examples of this phenomenon. Now, let's address some myths and misconceptions about valuable error coins, because there's a lot of misinformation out there that can lead people astray. First, not every unusual-looking coin is valuable. Many coins have post-mint damage from circulation wear, scratches, environmental damage, or deliberate alteration, and this type of damage does not make a coin valuable. In fact, it usually makes it worthless to collectors. Second, just because a coin is old doesn't mean it's valuable. There are billions of common-date coins from the early 1900s that are worth only face value or a few cents above, while some modern coins like our 1994 P-dime are worth millions. Third, you cannot determine a coin's value just by looking at online price guides or auction results, because condition is everything in numismatics, and a coin graded MS-66 might be worth $3 million, while the exact same coin graded MS-60 might be worth only $10,000. Fourth, cleaning or polishing a coin to make it look nicer is the worst thing you can do, as it destroys the original surface and can reduce a coin's value by 50% to 90%. So never clean coins, always leave them exactly as you found them. And fifth, not all errors certified by obscure or unknown grading services are real. There are some unscrupulous operators out there who will certify anything for a fee. So always stick with the major, reputable services like PCGS, NGC, ANAX, or ICG. Understanding these facts will save you from costly mistakes and help you focus your efforts on real opportunities. The 1994 P transitional error dime is a testament to the fact that modern coins can be just as rare and valuable as ancient rarities. And this is a concept that many people struggle to grasp. They assume that coins need to be hundreds of years old to be valuable, but the reality is that age is just one factor, and often not even the most important one. Rarity, condition, and collector demand are what truly drive value. And when you have a coin that's extremely rare, in excellent condition, and highly desired by collectors, you have a recipe for astronomical prices regardless of age. The 1994 P-dime proves this beyond any doubt. It's barely 30 years old. It was made with modern technology, and yet it's worth $3 million because only 3 are known to exist. Compare that to ancient Roman coins, many of which sell for just a few $100s despite being 2,000 years old, because thousands or even millions of them survive. Rarity is king in numismatics, and the 1994 P transitional error is about as rare as it gets in modern US coinage. As we close out this incredible journey through these two amazing dimes, I want you to remember a few critical points. First, never underestimate pocket change, because hidden among billions of ordinary coins are a few extraordinary treasures that could change your life. Second, education is your most powerful tool. So invest time in learning about coins, errors, varieties, and grading, because knowledge is what separates lucky finds from systematic success. Third, always use reputable grading services for authentication, because attempting to sell a supposedly valuable coin without professional certification will get you nowhere. Fourth, be skeptical but open-minded. Examine everything carefully, but don't let excitement cloud your judgment, and always seek expert opinions before getting too excited about a potential find. And finally, enjoy the journey, because even if you never find $1 million coin, the hobby of coin collecting is rewarding in itself. teaching you about history, art, economics, and the fascinating stories behind these little pieces of metal we use every day. The 1987 D-dime worth $7.50 million and the 1994 P-dime worth $3 million represent the pinnacle of modern-era coin collecting. They're the coins that dreams are made of, the coins that inspire thousands of people to search through millions of coins every single day, hoping, believing, that they might be the next person to make a life-changing discovery. These coins exist. They're real. They've been found by regular people just like you. And there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't be the next person to find one. So the next time you get change at a store, the next time you break open a roll of dimes from the bank, the next time you sort through that old coin jar in your closet, take a moment, slow down, look carefully, examine each coin with the knowledge you've gained today, because you never know. That ordinary-looking dime in your hand could be the one, the coin worth millions, the coin that changes everything. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this incredible exploration of these amazing coins. And remember, fortune favors the prepared. So get out there, start searching, keep learning, and who knows, maybe someday I'll be making a video about your incredible discovery. Keep your eyes open, your mind sharp, and your dreams big, because in the world of coin collecting, anything is possible, and the next $1 million find could be just one coin away.